I'm proud to announce that we are being sponsored again by our old friends at Scribophile. And the news from them is they are offering writing classes now. Scribophile was a place where you could find your community, get an online writers group going, really great place to be. And now they're offering classes which feature live Zoom meetings weekly, combined with an at-your-own-schedule forums-based instruction. Class sizes are small, so you can get personal attention, and you can use the Scribophile platform specifically designed for critiquing to post your assignments and get and give feedback. The first run of classes has something for writers of any skill level, with classes like From Novice to Novelist to Mastering Motifs. Each one is taught by a published author or a professional writing instructor. Since even before the pandemic shut everything down, I think a lot of people have been asking how to find a writers group that fits them. Now more than ever, it's good to find a place online that's curated to help you run a writers group. So I think Scribophile is a great place to do that. So please check them out. You can find their first run of classes at scribophile.com/writing-classes, and the link will be in the show notes. So we say no wasted words. What does that mean? We're going to be talking about that on I Should Be Writing Season 19, Episode 6.
But I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there, welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe, amateur, beginning, interested fiction writers. I'm your host, Mur Lafferty. I've written several books, 2 in other IPs, Star Wars and Minecraft, and been podcasting forever, it seems like. So I have been doing this one for 19 seasons. We're going on the 19th season anyway. Yeah, and I like to talk about all the things that get in our way because we put a lot of stuff. We put a lot of stuff in our own way when we're writing. I did that today, in fact. But before we get there, I finally stopped researching and started writing on my novella today. I got like 300 words in and I hated it, but, and I'll be talking about this more later in the show, then I got in the car to go get the dog, and I was thinking as I was driving, and that's when I solved where I needed to start the story. So that helped out a lot. So I did not write a ton, but I feel a lot more confident about where I want to start, which is half the battle. Maybe not half the battle, a good part of the battle. I don't think I have any good news. I got an interesting lead on a project, but I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, so I'm not sure whether it's good news or not. And it's not anything I can talk about yet. We're not even at a contract stage, but I'm still pondering that one. But if you guys have any good news, please tell me. We have the buttons ready for confetti, cheering, commiserating, yay buttons, and all that sort of good stuff. Good news also includes your rejections. We collect our rejections here because rejections are made by working writers. So if you're getting rejected, you're a working writer, and we support that here. I got a starred review from Publishers Weekly today. Does that count as a good news? Yes. Yes, Preemie. It counts as a very good news. Congratulations. Is this your short story collection? Yes, for collection. Awesome. We'll be sure to put that in the show notes. I need to order my copy from my friendly local bookstore. I heard today that IndieBound has either been bought by or merged with Bookshop. So if you're confused what link to give people for smaller bookstore sales, apparently they're the same. And I'm going to have to go through and change mine starting in March. And they will be affiliate links to independent bookstores. Oh my god. Preemie, oh my god. I remember telling a friend the first time it happened, and she was incensed that, quote unquote, they only gave me 1 star. That is awesome. I'm so happy. That makes me so happy. That's amusing. Wow, that's I felt that way about the Michelin stars. It's like, they got a Michelin star, only 1? Whoopee. Yeah. Stars are different things. People use them differently. It's you'd think there'd be a standard. 3 new rejections, and one of them was fast. Congratulations, Wire Duck. Let's get some yay buttons in the chat for Preemie and for Wire Duck. Oh, I didn't start the counter. Dang it, I always forget that. Counter, start. There we go. There we go. 3 buttons for Wire Duck. 3 rejections. Congratulations. I did create a button for acceptances. So we have lots of cheering and acceptance stuff going on if it applies to you. I don't know if I can count acceptances because as far as I understand it, this bot can only handle 1 counter. Maybe I can get a different bot to do a different counter. I don't know. You've prepared a lengthy speech for this occasion. Okay, Wired Duck, go for it. No news from Underpope, just reading and writing, but my accountability buddy, the one who gives me beer when I reach a major goal, got her first. Congratulations, that's great. It's good to feel happy for your friends. Speaking of happy for friends, did we ever hit the yay button for fault tolerance getting on the locust list? Did we? I'm going to do it again. Congratulations, the kids are asleep. Well, you got it again then. I would love to get an acceptance at some point, but that means I would actually need to submit stuff. Yeah, that's the chance you got to take, man. I'm sorry. My good news is our drains finally got fixed the other day. I fixed a drain today, and I realized why people do that, praising a guy for changing a diaper kind of thing. I had that, I have fixed a sink. Where is my applause kind of feeling? So yeah, if you have good news you want to share, either want to add to the rejection list or add to the acceptance list, email mightymur@gmail.com and let me know, or show up on one of our live streams, 3 p.m. Tuesday, Thursdays, Eastern Time, twitch.tv/mightymur, and tell us. Witness me is the thing you can yell when you do something. I forgot about that. Yes, I should be running around with my clean sink screaming, witness me. Only not like Elon Musk did the sink. What the hell was that about? That was bizarre. I mean, it's like, sometimes people make bad decisions, and other times they just make decisions. Like, what weird thing can I do today? Wheel does he have that he spun? And it was, carry a sink into the company you just took over. Yeah. Another plumbing problem. Shards got fixed. That's the good news. That's fantastic. Welcome. Good to see you. Why is my cat meowing? He does not have any good news. Preemie, I'm pretty sure your cat's plotting your death. Being grown up means cheering when your sewer gets replaced, even though nothing actually changes in the house except that the toilet flows better now. Heaven's Turtle, welcome! I have been helping my friend contact reviewers for their novella and getting lots of interested readers. It was scary to put it out there, but worth it. That's fantastic. Yeah, marketing's tough. Marketing's really tough. I'll do an episode on marketing in the future. Or maybe we'll cover it on Ditch Diggers. Matt's coming back next Monday. He and I meet tomorrow to talk about next Monday's episode. And, yeah, so be sure to stay tuned. It'll be live at 2 p.m. on Monday afternoon, Eastern Time. And, it'll be me and Matt talking about the business of writing. That one is explicit. This one is not. Not explicit in a naked way, explicit in a language way. There's a lot to swear about in publishing. So I got this idea when talking about wasted words or warming up or whatever, and a lot of people, including myself, will start a story and then whenever someone looks at it, they say, you know, you could cut these pages or this chapter. Sometimes if you're doing a workshop and they're looking at your short story, some people will draw a line across your manuscript and say, this is where your story starts. So just get rid of all the other words. And this happens so often that a lot of people call that warm-up writing. And you need to be aware of it and know when to cut it. It's not wasted. There are no wasted words. But it's words that perhaps you don't need. It's like warm-up writing. It's like running around the block before you run a race. No one's going to count that speed for your race. No one's going to care, but it does you some good. There are a very cliche thing is the character wakes up and oftentimes they wake up when life, like before whatever whatever catalyst happens to make the story actually a story. They just wake up and go about their mundane lives. And unless you're writing The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which you can't because it's already done, there's really not a lot of reasons. Unless they wake up somewhere new or in a different stage, different format. Different format? Words are not mine today. I don't know. In case they wake up with, in a different state or place. Is sleeping essential to the plot? If not, maybe don't do that. Yes, exactly. What if they wake up with no memory of who they are? In that case, go get a couple of Gene Wolfe books and see how he did it. I think Soldier in the Mist is the book where the soldier loses his memory every day. But there's other things. And of course, you can go out there and find exceptions to every rule. For example, they say don't write a scene description or a city description unless you're China Mieville. So, yeah, sorry. At the very beginning of Perdido Street Station, it's got a character arriving at the city of Baslag, and it's just, you just want to eat his words. It's just gorgeous, gorgeous writing. And this was like his first book, I think. It just breaks your heart. It's amazing. I need to write, I need to reread The Scar. That was my favorite of his. But I did read some. I was actually, believe it or not, I was actually doing research before I did this episode. And, at least I have always thought when people say start the scene in the middle of the action, in media res, I believe is how you pronounce it, the Latin, it's like actively this person hides behind a corner as someone's shooting at her, and people think that because it's exciting, people are going to care, but if you don't know who her is, you're not going to care. But in the post that I read, it described the beginning of The Lord of the Flies as being in media res, where you've already got the boys on the island and they're climbing over rocks and their school uniforms are sticking to them and it's very sweaty. So there's nothing happening, but the setting and the situation the boys are in are enough of a change from what you would expect to see, and that is where it's in the middle of the action. You don't have to see them get up and go to school and get on the boat and then get shipwrecked. So that was actually really illuminating for me, that you don't have to start in the middle of active action. What am I trying to say? I was going to say active action, but I meant like big time action or violence or conflict. You can just, here is where we are now, and put that there. I'm going to take a moment and check in with chat. It's wild because you have one group going, you must establish normal life before inciting incident, but then you have must start as close to inciting incident as possible or else boring. I had that with Station Eternity. I did, I had the first couple of chapters being Mallory on Earth deciding to go to the station. And that meant the book ramped up much too slowly. And so I had to cut all of that and kind of filter it in flashbacks. Which was easier because I didn't have to go through the rigmarole of explaining the red tape of actually going to live on a space station where humans are not welcome. I just hand wave that. Yeah, it's this is something you need to feel, establish, but also something that if you warm up, you can probably get a feeling for what can be, I'm not even going to say thrown out. I'm just going to say you cut and paste it somewhere else. So I have a list of, I have suggestions if you want to, if you're worried about writing warm-up words, if you're worried about how you can't get your mind going unless you have your character wake up. That's possibly true, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sit down and think you're going to do warm-up exercises. I probably quote it too much, but I just love the concept of Thomas Edison creating 10,000 ways to not make a light bulb. It's when you do that, you can start finding the ways that you don't want to write the book. I did that today. I've been thinking about this novella, and I've been excited about this novella, and I've been clearing my plate of a lot of outstanding work so I could write this novella. And then I sat down today and went, I have no freaking clue. And I made myself start to write. And as I mentioned earlier, I only got a couple hundred words in, but doing that helped sort of unstick the gears and help me decide where I did need to start it. And that made it a lot. I'm excited to get into it. Of course, I had to then get the dog and then come here and do the school interview and then stream. So I haven't gotten back to it, but I treated the beginning of that novella like a warm-up exercise. It didn't matter what I said. It didn't matter what I wrote. Just the fact that starting writing got my head into the story, and then what Stephen King calls the guys in the basement started to do their work. So I have some suggestions of warm-up writing exercises before you get started. And I'm going to start with the obvious. Write them waking up. Who cares? If that's where you need to get your footing, write them waking up. Tell me what they had for breakfast. Write how boring their life is and how, man, I wish something would happen around here. If that's what you need to get started, write it. And then when you're done and you have a little bit of time to step away from it, you can see, okay, it starts here on page 13. Another thing you can do is ask a character a question or just write something about the character. It doesn't have to be anything readable or specific or fancy. You can just write, here's how they are, or here's how they were as a kid, or whatever, just to get that character a little bit deeper into your head. And then there's free writing, which is like the morning pages from Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way, where you just write down whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're looking at, and that might clear your head of a lot of crap. And there are other things. I read, somebody said, interview an inanimate object, and I'm like, is that too silly? Would that be too silly? I'm not sure. I like doing free writing in your work in progress. Going in a different dimension, deciding to gender flip the characters or decide that the antagonist is the protagonist and other way around and see how things look. And knowing you're not going to keep the words is freeing because you can write whatever crap you want. You know, telling yourself this doesn't matter can either be something really depressing or something really useful. Because if it's depressing, then, you know, you think it doesn't matter to anybody ever. Or if it doesn't matter, it's no one's going to see it. I can do whatever I want, make it ugly as possible, and then throw it away. Checking in with chat again. I do think the method worked well for Mallory and Station Eternity. Once you established problems, it was easy step to buy that going to the space station was the solution. Didn't need to actually go through the process. Oh yeah, I agree. I'm happy with how it turned out. I think that I got some good editorial guidance on that. Christian Writing says, I cut a short story basically in half to meet a word limit and didn't feel like I had to sacrifice anything integral to the story. The parts I cut were me telling the story to myself by and large. Oh yeah, sometimes if I get stuck on a scene, I will kind of step back and I will write very much in a conversational vernacular. Okay, here's what happens in this scene, and here's what I need to happen, and here's where this needs to end up, and here's how she's feeling, and here's how he's feeling, and just writing that almost verbatim, except for actually putting details in there, can help. So there are a lot of words that you can write that you don't need for the final product, but can really help you along when working on the when getting the first draft down. I'm going to pause for some water and see if you guys have any questions. What's King's equation? Final draft equals first draft minus 20%. Yeah, but I'm somebody who writes kind of spare. So, a lot of my final draft is me beefing up very empty, descriptive scenes. So my final drafts end up longer than my first drafts. But I know most people write over, and so they need to cut. And everybody wants the problem somebody else has. I would love to be looking at a big fat manuscript and be able to trim it down and know what words to cut here and there and just be a surgeon and make it all short and tight. Instead of, me going, what's the matter with them being in a white room and two talking heads talking at each other? Again, what's wrong with that? Yeah. Well, consider that when you're working on your next story, or if you feel stuck on anything, Don't be afraid to go off into a different direction. Don't be afraid to write something absolutely ridiculous. You could always say whatever happened was a dream and then throw those words out. But they're not wasted. They're very good. Yes, write fanfic of your own story. Exactly. Remembering that nobody will see the thing you're writing right now unless you show them. It's freeing, and allow yourself to remember that. You can write the biggest garbage you can. I am thinking about a character based on an established character in the media today, and I actually considered today, because you all know how much I hate names. I hate naming people. I thought about naming her the name I was kind of basing the character off of, and then just going through with, search and replace. But I'm a little afraid to do that, because just one My Little Pony name's going to get in there, and someone's going to go, why the hell did you just put Applejack in the middle of this fight scene? Starvin says, cross-section of not wasted words and needing more description. Sometimes, something I sometimes resort to is just describing the setting via picture, just finding a picture of what suits the scene and then writing down what's there. Placeholder names are bad, they get stuck. Yes, Valerie. Yes. Actually, one problem I have is when I have to change a name after the fact, the name I start out with is the one that gets deep into my head. And so sometimes I'll hear a character name and someone will say a scene with them in it, and I'm like, who the hell is that? In one of my older books, I changed someone's gender and name. And it was real. Of course, now I've confused myself. I can't remember where I started or where I ended up. But it confused me for a little while because I couldn't remember who that character was and wanted to call them by the wrong name. But I do love the Scrivener naming tool. I have so much fun with that. I highly recommend it. I believe it's under Edit, Word Tools, and then Name Generator, I think. I'm at a PC now, and I don't have Scrivener right here, so someone else is going to have to confirm that for me. But if you don't know about the Scrivener word name generator and you use Scrivener, you need to check it out. It's really cool. I have actually tried to increase the names in the database, but I think I did something wrong. Because there's information on how to do that online, because they are missing some. Like some ethnicities, they'll have just surnames, but not first names. Or the other way around. And you're like, so you want... No. What's funny to me is that as a reader, character names matter very little. As a writer, on the other hand, yes, it's... I usually try to have my writing... I try to have my names mean something useful. Sometimes. And then other times... But sometimes I'll look up what I want something to be, and then I'll be satisfied with it, and then I'll choose the name, and then I'll forget why I did it. I'll just remember I had a good reason for it. Yeah, the Dormeyer from Six Wakes, can't remember why I called the ship that. Just can't. I lean way more on mouthfeel and vibes for naming. Really? I think it's a problem I don't do that because I don't say the names out loud. Do you read your stuff out loud? Everybody I know is named Mike, but my editors won't let me do that. Prima, you need to push back. That's literary author flex right there. Everybody's named Mike. It means something. There's symbolism here. One of them's gonna be a middle-aged professor who's gonna sleep with his student, also named Mike. Pulitzer, baby. In one novel, I had 5 characters whose name began with H. Yes, I had that problem with Station Eternity. I had a whole bunch of T names. I had to change 2 of them. Luckily, Tina was not one of them, because that was a Tuckerization. That would have been awkward. Okay, Valerie doesn't read the words out loud, read the names out loud, but I roll it around in my brain a lot. And then Daniel's singing These Are the Daves I Know from Kids in the Hall. 30 Helens agree, yep. Bunch of Reginas and Jennifers when I was growing up. Which is weird because I haven't really heard the name Regina many other places, except in the mountains of North Carolina. I had a whole workshop who said my names were too much alike, not because they had the same sounds or starting letters, but because they all had 1 or 2 syllables. Most of the people I know who have longer syllable names shorten them. I could talk at length about when you want to stick to realism and when realism is actually going to hurt your story, but I'd probably need to plan that out a little better. As I mentioned during the Ask Evil Mur episode, if you write how people actually talk, it's going to confuse the reader, because pauses and ums and mispronunciations mean something in fiction. Whereas for us, it's just talking. So that's one thing that needs to change. And also the name thing being, you don't want to confuse your reader. And so do you want to stick with realism, or do you want to realism and confuse them, or give them something that's more readable? Didn't stop Tolkien. Saruman and Sauron are 2 stupid names. Just, what the hell, man? But, he was Tolkien. He's allowed. But, I think a great idea would be to go through Lord of the Rings and just cross off one of them and name the other one like Bob. It'll be clearer. I think I'm going to end this now for the podcast and hang out and do a little bit more BarCon with folks. But I'm pretty beat for doing the high school visit earlier today. And Zoom fatigue is a thing, apparently. But if you are interested in any of my work or getting other episodes of I Should Be Writing, you can go to Merverse.com, or you can search for I Should Be Writing on any podcatcher that you use. I'm Googleable. If you want to email me writing questions, mightymur@gmail.com, and you can check out all the stuff I do. I write books, I co-edit a magazine, and I do podcasts. I'm a content creator. I churn it out, baby. And, I don't know if you can catch the live streams 2 o'clock on Mondays, 3 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and that's Eastern Time. Twitch.tv/MightyMur. And what helps me keep this going is your support via Patreon or Twitch or Substack. If you can be a subscriber and help me out in any of those places, you will get access to the archives of I Should Be Writing. There, I'm at over 700 at this point. You'll get early episodes, you'll get exclusive episodes, and you'll get a lot more perks the further up you go. So consider that, because you'll be helping me out. And if you can't support, that's cool too. Leave a review or tell somebody about my books or my podcasts or the magazine Valerie and I work on. But I will see you guys next Tuesday live, or we'll be recording again on Thursday. And until then, you should be writing. I Should Be Writing is available to you under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Theme music by John Anelio. Art by Numbers Ninja. Production by Summer Brooks. And hosting by Libsyn. Find all of this information and more at Merverse.com. And remember, we can't do this without you. Thanks for your support.
Well, I should watching Doctor Who. Yeah, I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.